Good Sunday morning, everyone. It's the Sunday session. Man, it's daylight savings time. A lot of you are probably an hour early since we fell back. Uh, Set the clock. Yeah, lights. Do we need more light? We're good. We're good. I hope everyone is having a good day. Uh, it's been a week of weird streams, quite frankly. Um, a lot of power outages and like happened twice yesterday, but the second show was really good. First show I want to say lasted 40 minutes. We hopped back in, and the second show was like an hour and a half. So it was a pretty good show. Uh Day before that, we had like a lot of people on the show, right? So I went from having no one on the show for 5, 6 months uh to like several guests. It was really good. I think we're gonna try and do more of that. I like bouncing stuff off of people. The Halloween stream got a strike on YouTube because we played the Dale and Tucker commercial. It's a commercial. I don't understand it. We didn't play song, man. YouTube doesn't make any sense with how it strikes at you. Uh, but it is what it is. So now we can't say, "Oh, this movie is great. You should go see it." Everything. And I wonder about what about the museums? If the museum has something up on the internet, and I go, "Oh," and we're running it and we're commenting on it, I can't because it's not. Is it criticism? I don't know, man. I think these laws that protect, you know, some of these intellectual properties so they can just be ridiculous. Some of it is just really kill this. And don't get me wrong, I get not running your movies and then making money off what you're doing. I totally get that, right? Playing someone else's song without paying them, like having this sort of illegal radio station where you play all this stuff and you keep all whatever it raises with the commercials and all that. I totally get that. But you should be able to look up and go, this is Bill Buckner missing. This is what that looks like without somebody going. So yeah, my new position now is if ever you're in court and you get to hang one of these guys, you should do it. You really should. This is Bob. He was speeding for the third time. He's an executive at so and so insurance. Guilty, right? But all of a sudden, we're finding a lot more of these upscale, high end, ridiculous people guilty. I wonder why. It's sort of like a scream out. I keep saying like they hacked the system, right? But you can't live in a hacked system. So several things are going to happen. Either it'll be the last hack, like the straw that breaks the camel's back, and there'll be like revolt on the streets that will eventually get worse and worse, worse, or someone within the system will put an end to it and make it a coup or whatever, and realign this thing. But it's not going to stay this way. It can't stay this way. The question becomes, how long is it going to be this way? It's been this way for a while, since the 80s at minimum, right? And the industrial complex since the 50s at minimum. And people are tired of all of this, right? Uh, so what's going to happen? And like I said, it's not a hack if you take care of the people, right? Do I care if my congressman or my senator insider trades if I have health care and I can go to college and I don't, yeah, don't throw him in jail, but man, so and so's a good guy. I got to, but if I get nothing and you do that and shove money in your pocket and then keep things away from me, when I hear that you're off step like that, the first thing I want is you to swing from a rope, you know, that old timey Western shit. Like at this point, like that's the traders. At this point, you're you're treacherous to the population and you're an elected official. Like all those things that we were told we shouldn't be, right, growing up, like dictators do in these places. And now you're mucking with people's right to vote, right? You're mucking with just people's health care, right? Just to treat people like a herd that you can fleece, right? Everybody wants a revenue stream. I keep saying it. Netflix deserves their revenue stream, and by revenue stream I mean every month without fail, I give them money, right? So there's a 100 million of us doing that, versus all these things where they make it impossible for you to live without paying them. It's like extortion almost. Um, Yeah, it's one is totally justified, right? Churches will love a revenue stream. Everybody tithes without fail. You know how rich churches, they're pretty fucking rich already. You know how rich churches would be if everybody tithed without fail. You know how honest they would be instead of having them pay no taxes. But the guy who owns the church can be, three quarters of a billionaire with no soup kitchens. Oh, I mean, the corruption, the fix in the corruption is so in. And like I said, man, it's gonna be the last hack. Something's gonna be the last freaking straw. It really is. And we'll see. We will definitely see. Uh it's Sunday. It's the Sunday session. It is a quarter to 8. Um I haven't set this up. What are we talking about today? I didn't just get up. I've been up since about, I guess, 6:30, but it was really 5:30. So I've been up for about 2 hours. Spring ahead fallback, right? So yeah, it was about 5:30. Why do I always tell you about? I don't know. Um, had a cup of coffee. Now I'm kind of out, and I kind of want another cup of coffee. We got the windows open. We're gonna cut this light on and brighten up the place, and let's do what we always do. Let's wander through the newspaper. I really miss like just flipping through a newspaper, flip, 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 doing the crossword. I really miss it. Um, but here's the thing: though all these tactile things that make an experience, they'll just be different. Like now, people who are like 15, they don't know what a freaking flipping through a newspaper is like, right? And their whole thing is going to be fingers and flipping. And then by the time they're 60, their grandkids will probably have holograms and they'll be telling you what I'm doing on some stream. I really hate the fact that, I can't flip things anymore because of the damn holograms or whatever. It's like car culture, right? Uh, I grew up with car magazines and all this stuff. I like the engine, the roar in a muscle car, right? Um, those things are over. People don't want those cars anymore. The car culture in America is dying, and that's fine. Things ebb out, which I guess goes back to what I was saying, like with the corruption, things don't last forever. I think the idea of the last group of people that get will be treated harshly. But it's like hazing in a fraternity. They tell you not to haze, and you go, "Well, I went through it. I don't see a problem with it." And you secretly keep hazing, and then someone dies, and all of a sudden it's like, "Oh fuck!" Like we told you not to haze, but everybody hazes. Yeah, no, you got caught holding the shitty end of the stick, and now there are going to be consequences, right? And every year, without fail, some poor college kid dies from drinking, right? The one that I forget the university where he he was super drunk, then he falls and hits his head. And I get that they're young people, right? And they just put him to bed on a couch. Ah, yeah, yeah. People didn't have the good sense to go, oh my God, some what you call the, but yeah, I mean, young people, right? And then, what is it? What is it called? Death, we mentioned it earlier, death by misadventure. Drinking is and I've had, look, man, when I was a young dude, I've had my incidences with alcohol around my homies, right? And luckily, those guys didn't leave me to die. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking about not there would have been a trillion of them, but there was like about two incidents. But one, I'm not talking about waking up hungover and being, oh, I hate my life. I'm talking about how did I get home? What happened? Right? Once we had the night I'm talking about, we had two 40s and I think a 36 ounce. And I took a fall in the rain. And the only thing that saved my life, I'm telling you this, I can't believe I never told anybody this, is that I fell down on my stomach and then I vomited. If I had fallen on my back in the rain, I'd have choked to death, right? In the rain. And they came out and tripped over me. Was like, this motherfucker's here, right? And I had left like 20 minutes before. If I had been out there any long, and it was like, I want to say it was December, October. It was late in the year. And they were like, this is the discussion they told me next day. They were like, well, what are we going to do with him? Do we take him to his house? Because they're all drunk too. Should we take him to his house? He's got his keys on him. We can open the door, put him inside the house, and then leave and lock the door. And they're like, yeah, but we'll have his keys. No, I mean, think about that. That's the logic. No one's thinking, how the fuck, why are we fucking walking into someone's house, right? They know my parents, but still, it's like 4 a.m, right? You think it was a robbery. So what they did was they took me into my friend's house that where this happened at, uh, and put me on his couch. And I woke up at like 10 a.m. I was like, what the fuck happened? And everybody had stayed and just finished watching TV and talking shit while I was out on the couch. Yeah, yeah. But your homies took care of you. But we all have this sort of incident in our life, right? Some wild moment. But your homies don't abandon you. You know, because I know if it was one of them, I'd have been like, "What are we gonna do with him?" And I probably would have had the same question. It was like five of us, me and four other dudes. It was pretty good. It's funny they're blaming. I'm looking at this thing. They're doing a lot of blame on Travis Scott for this accident, and it's not his fault. We said this yesterday. Uh, but they're like demonizing him to demonize black. Look at you. Look at the social media about it. But okay, looks like we're kicking back in. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, these are the blocks. What was that? That was a good 30 seconds. I think it times out after a minute or so. But sometimes, like yesterday, it went out and it was out for 40 minutes. I was furious, absolutely furious. Uh, I try and get an hour and a half in every day. So when it stops like that, whether it's 20 minutes or 40 minutes, 20 minutes is the minimum I want to stream for. But yesterday it did that. The first show lasted 40 minutes. Then the second show lasted an hour and a half. And it seems like the system seems to go through this, right? You'll have like 2 months of great streams, and all of a sudden, you'll have like 3 or 4 weeks of hear the geese. You'll have 3 or 4 weeks of intermittent like service issues. So, hey, thanks for subscribing. Um, so yeah, so we like I said, we try and do an hour and a half every day, Monday through Friday. It's about an hour and a half. Sometimes it's 2 hours. But on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we run as long as we want. Yesterday's show was like after the 40 minutes. The yesterday's show was like about I want to say 2 hours, but the show before that was six. The Friday show was from 6:30 to 12:30, and I only expected to be like an hour, and all these people showed up, which was great. It was freaking great. Um, so yeah, we go where the stream takes us. No pun intended. Uh, yeah, we go where the stream takes us. I really want, man. I should bring that hot water kettle. You know what? I'm gonna set up a bench over there. I'm gonna sit coffee in a kettle over there on the weekends because it'll take me a second to run in there, flip it on, and then I gotta fill it. Yeah. So anyway, I've got coffee on my mind though. So yeah, the Travis Scott thing, man. Uh, all the same. You know, well, here's a sad thing. Remember that shooting in Vegas where the guy shot all those people at that concert from a window, right? The first thing I thought when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, I'm glad it wasn't a fucking rap concert, right?" And the shooter was white, right? I'm glad that wasn't the case. Uh, because I could have just imagined what people would have been said about them. And lo and behold, this sad incident happens, right? And people are talking about, that's not music. It's like you get a chance to be a cheap shot artist. And these are the people who, if they were in your sphere, they wouldn't say this stuff. I hate to say, but I like that this happens. I like that because you always have a record of who said what, right? Um, just like all these people running for office and then being exposed, like John Gruden. Turns out he's got all these just ridiculousness to say, right? Your heroes shouldn't be fake, false in their philosophy or their manner. And you should know about this, right? Here's the thing about rap music and whole rap thing. It's blatantly in your face, right? The sex songs are blatantly in your face. The violence songs are blatantly. There's not a lot. I mean, the artist may be, you know, full of crap, but the music and the message that the music gives you is sort of like this stream of honesty, right? And then you get into that in the culture. The culture's a little too touchy, if you ask me, right? People fight over bullshit for no reason. But the culture exists because we had to come up with our own culture, right? In society that was denying us everything. And it had to be sort of, I don't want to say brutal. It had to be a little more stern considering the surroundings. It couldn't be namby-pamby, right? So now you're mad at all that other people are stern and all or some are stoic and um on some issues people are intransigent, right? So I mean it's all part of the culture, of the Black American culture. Excuse me. We talked about this yesterday, like the term black and white and why those terms are not popular but are endemic in this society. Long story short, all Europeans did not get along, right? Everybody was warring with each other. When they came here, you didn't want these divisions, so you just became white. And your opposition was the blacks, right? You weren't going to call them Africans, couldn't, you're like, so, and that's where that came from. And so black is wholly exclusive to this place, this culture, this country, right? And everybody else is African Brit, I guess, or Afro Brit, or Caribbean this or whatever, right? But black is a thing exclusive to people connected to slaves and slavery. Uh, I made the contention, like I said on my show last week, that Kamala Harris and Barack Obama are not black, right? They didn't share in the experience of Black American culture, right? So now what you have here is sort of the one drop rule working for politicians. We designate these people your leadership because we say that they're black, when they're not. I mean, they look. Everybody's experience is different. Trevor Noah came here with a South African experience. I'm not denigrating it. I'm just saying it's different from here. So when he begins to speak, he speaks from a place of experience, but from another place. And he shouldn't be speaking for me, especially since there's so many of us here who can speak for ourselves, right? So, and the example I gave was like the Asian community, right? There's Koreans, there's Japanese, there's Chinese, right? There's Filipino. Uh, the Japanese don't want, they may make loose associations here to get by in this in America, but there's different cultures. I mean, the Japanese and Chinese had countless wars against each other, countless wars against each other. The Japanese were very much like the British. They were this little force of an island. That wouldn't happen today. China has gotten its shit together since like the 50s. So yeah, so it's just kind of like you're trying to stand up and fix age-old problems and be proud of your culture and your community. And it keeps being undermined by rich and famous people who are not from the community, but throw these words around like they have no meaning. And if you let that happen, then quite frankly, it was all for nothing. You know, all the resistance of it was all for nothing. Uh yeah. So what are we doing here? Will you guys give me about, I don't need 50 seconds. I need about 10 seconds of running to cut the kettle on, uh, and drop a teaspoon worth of sugar in here. So this is, I'll leave at 15. I should be back in about 15 seconds. All right. See, I hacked my problem. Am I back before 15? Yeah, with a second to spare. All right. That's gonna take about 3 minutes. We're just gonna prep the coffee now. Yeah, you should be look, the whole the whole the whole of the country is different, right? Everyone should be proud of their history, but everyone should be for, in my opinion, everyone should be for the betterment of their neighbor. Because if you're, because you're, remember, this isn't for somebody else. It's also for you. You're somebody's neighbor. Um, that way, like this college stuff, people want to go to college. You make it hard to go to college, so then when people grow up, they can't. They want to be doctors or lawyers or this or that. They ended up truck drivers or laborers in like these areas. You're always going to have laborers. The problem is they don't want to pay the laborers, but they don't want you to be college educated because then you're not going to be a laborer, right? So the business of colleges is education, but it's their business. They're not in it to educate you. They're in it to make money. Um, and this is why they don't want free education because they've been telling you people are lazy and don't want to go, and that's not the case. Ton of people, and some people want to go to trade school. I don't want to go to college. I want to learn how to be a mechanic or engineer or auto mechanic or you know a thousand things. But they box you in so later down the road they can exploit you for whatever they want to exploit you for. All right. I don't know. But it's the philosophy that they told us that America is, right? And then a meritocracy and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then they pull the rug out from under you. A lot of these rich kids are not pulling their bootstraps by shit. All right. um, and a lot of the people in power are cutting the promise of your kids. It just stopped. All right, so we're gonna take this in, and we'll be right back. All right. All right, cut this out. Good. We try not to spill this. I don't think that took me more than a minute. Sorry about that. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Okay, we have coffee and we are in business. So, yeah, I really do think that what's going on here in this country. I know this is a international broadcast. Look at me, I'm fancy. Uh, but I think that what's going on here in America, the political system, is essential an extension of like the Jim Crow days, but this time for everybody, right? And I think the arrogance was these people thought that, yeah, my government's going to let me treat these black people this way as if they were somehow special and weren't. And now they don't have any of the stuff that they want either, right? Because they're everybody is misrepresenting what is needed here. No one's going to reinstitute slavery or bring any of this shit back. So what are you talking about? You can only keep people angry and then exploit them for votes down the road. There you go. All right, now I'm feeling extra hippie. I'm not gonna light any sage though. We're just gonna keep it casual. Uh, but yeah, I think all the anger and animosity that's been pushed around for as long as it's been pushed around, a couple of hundred years, um, it began to percolate. It keeps rising, right? So it rose. There's pictures of the Klan marching in Washington, right? It rose then. It rose in uh the Civil War when you should have really squashed it out, but you kept it around so people would get power and get money, and just for hate reasons, right? Hate is it is what it is, man. And you can't train people out of it. They have to come to an enlightenment in themselves to stop hating something. Um, yeah, right. So I can't go, okay, you white Klansman, you're gonna live next to this black family and you're gonna like them. That's not gonna work. But I can go, all right, you white family, you're gonna live next to this black family, you're gonna fucking mind your business. Right? Says the law. and because there will be consequences if you don't. Versus the law says you have to like these people. So know what you're dealing with. Know who you're dealing with. That's good coffee. All right, let's wander through. What are we wandering through today? Yeah, the Travis Scott thing is sort of a tragedy. Excuse me. We've talked about. Hey, did you hear that there's a new? We don't talk about the COVID or, but you hear that there's a new variant? There's yet another new variant. Ah. Yeah, House GOP members who voted for the instructor bill face backlash from Republican colleagues. Yeah, I mean, they're like the mafia, where you were put there by your constituent to vote a certain way, but you can't do that because you know what I mean. You have to vote the way the party so they can have. And so, yeah, this is what happens. I think when you go to Congress, the first people you betray is the people who voted for you, so you can be a better member in standing in whatever party you're subscribed to, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. All this infighting is because the fucking shit don't work. Like I said, it's been thoroughly hacked, and now people are blowing back on it. It's like playing in a rigged casino. You know it's rigged, right? There's something funny with those dice. You know something's going on. Versus when it first opened up and had all this promise. Uh, they're gonna have to acknowledge it. They're gonna have to. They can't just keep blaming the population and the new version of whoever they sent there. And this is gonna eventually have to come to a head. Man, that Aaron Rodgers thing is ridiculous. All right, so polling fraud trial. All right. See, look, now the French president Nicolas Sarkozy is on trial, and he's refusing to answer questions. Right? Fraud. Did he rig the election to win over there? Here's the thing: after you're out of office over there, you can still be looked into, which makes sense. Right? What's the policy was not only term limits and an age limit. What if there was also after you're out of office, there was a standard look over of what you did as a congressman, senator, and president? The first thing they would do is try and rig those offices. But if it worked as designed, right? Um, people would be looking in other places other than to get rich in Congress. I mean, having meetings and you can write like you work in government, first of all, but you can have meetings and not tell who you met with. That's bullshit. And that's them writing it to cover their own ass. So they could be meeting with the Klansmen, they could be meeting with fucking uh excuse my language, they could be meeting with um, people who bribe them openly. And so yeah, I mean America really needs to get tight. And if we get tight, right. So here we go. All right. Um, I'm having all kind of weird issues with the stream. So I'm hoping that it stays with me. It's bouncing back and forth. I tell you, like I said, I'm afraid to pull up another camera. But like I said, there's always a freaking problem. And then it'll go away for 3 months, and then it'll come back. Police brutality against teens. Look, here's another thing. Right, here's the problem. Just one black person is on the jury in the Ahmaud Arbery killing. All right, let's cover both of those. Here's the thing. Um, the police and the judicial system has a giant track record of just being evil to citizenry, right? Setting up people for murders they didn't do. So at this point, the bad guy is the bad guy, right? And it's going to come a point to like you don't want to fix that, right? All of this stuff is a giant ball of what America has become. Um, and everybody's unhappy, right? And there's look, we're a big population. There's always a percentage of stupid people. There's always a percentage of stupid people. So if I had 100 people in my tribe as we transverses the landscape, right? What's the percentage of stupid people? It's not 50. I know people like to say dumb shit like that. It's and there's a percentage of criminals, right? But it's generally about 10% of criminals at its high end, and maybe as low as 3% on its low end, depending on the ebb and flow of the society, right? It's not half. You can walk around and not be mugged, right? It's not half. And then it may be more intense in some areas, like at night and, the heart of this bad ghetto, where there's more because there's poverty, right? We get that. But generally, it's like 3 to 10%. Um, and the mafia is because that 3 or 10% has organized. It's not loose, right? So it's not like there's more mobsters and more crime, right? It's just that all the people who are going to be criminals have organized in this group, and so you know what I'm saying. So it's not like that because you have a mafia, you have 50% population, right? Um, having that, and that's what you take that and you put that 3% or a good portion of that in police departments and judgeships, right? People working out old grudges and stealing people's lives, and you're not going to do anything about it. Ugh, I don't know. I don't know. Ooh. All right. So yeah, who's the bad guy here? And there's one black guy on the Mount Arbery jury. I think that just speaks for itself. Like we can't win honestly, but we will win. Kevin McCarthy faces Republican attacks after failing to stop that. Why would you see? That's another thing. Instead of having whatever idea have its day, people bury it. I mean, they've stunted the growth of the place so they could stay in power, and that's essentially where we are. Um, we should have long ago had better education. We should have long ago had these people. Uh, we should have long ago had it. Okay, so here's the story about Cowpen, right? Cowpen is in People. Uh, if you want to call that a magazine. Cowpen opens up about fighting for inclusion in Hollywood, working in the White House, and his fiance. Here's the thing about this. This is not 1950. Right? You being in the closet, you're just lying to your friends. That just makes you a liar. That means I can't trust you. I get in the 50s where you didn't want to end like Rock Hudson had to do. But now he's a victim of what? If this they're always selling you emotional victimhood. And this is another one of these stupid things. The only thing about here opens up about working in the White House. I mean, inclusion for who? You know, like I just man, everybody everybody just plays like it's a game that's played while nothing happens. There's a lot of stuff I have not seen. Richard Ashcroft claims Netflix must. Mhm. Concert safety expert deaths at Travis After World Festival were preventable. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was preventable. But how you gonna blame him? There's a ton of concerts. There's not always deaths. Yeah, we know that they're preventable. But I don't know if you can blame. But I don't know if you can blame Travis Scott for this. Wait, what? Los Angeles Times column. You heard right. Aaron Rodgers played the Martin Luther King Jr. card. Yeah, he's gonna lose his State Farm gig. He's gonna lose all of it. Not all of it, but he's gonna lose a bunch of it. I heard that he. I'm not from Green Bay, but I heard that he locally he's represented by a Green Bay health agency, and they dropped him. Look, listen. You don't want your nurses and your cops and your firemen and your EMT people who show up to you not to have a mask on. And as Saturday Night Live pointed out yesterday, oddly enough, He was in a huddle, like feet away from people, breathing heavy. He exposed them the most, right? Yeah, I think he's got questions to answer, and I think so does the NFL, because apparently they let him get away with it. And the interesting thing about this is, the people who don't want to get vaxxed uh, are now holding Kyrie Irving up as a hero for them. They just hop from ship to ship to just to fucking stay active. They have no philosophy but to fucking be difficult, quite frankly. I mean, if it serves their purpose, they'll use Dr. King quote. And then in the next breath tell you why everybody's lazy and shouldn't get health care. You know, it's man, some of these people are just ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers, MLK. Woke mob war. Aaron Rodgers goes full anti-vax on insane COVID diatribe. Rodgers quotes MLK, credits Joe Rogan for medical advice. Yeah, we're reading that shit. All right, let's pull this up. Hopefully the stream will stay lit. Hopefully. Whoa. Hopefully. Aaron Rodgers quotes MLK, credits Joe Rogan for medical advice and anti-vax diatribe on Pat McAfee show. 37-year-old quarterback accused a woke mob. Don't even let me get me fucking started with people using the word woke wrong, of laying siege to him in the days following a positive COVID-19 diagnosis. You could give it to one guy who sort of doesn't get too sick, but then he can pass that on to his kid or his wife or his grandmother, and they'll die. You know, it's one thing to tell people what's up, right? Look, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine, but I want to know about it, and I want to wear a mask. Now you got governors out here making it impossible for you to wear a mask, even if you want to. You got other people saying they stand on principle and then lying about it. You don't stand on shit. It's just I don't want to do it, and fuck you and the rest of everybody. That's really essentially the vibe by Evan Blair. Okay, I like his Twitter handle. It is how it is. God bless you. All right. 30-year-old quarterback accused of woke mob of laying siege to him. Let's make this bigger. Can we do that? Yeah, we did that. After Kyrie Irving delivered a rambling 20-minute speech last month explaining his refusal to get vaccinated against COVID-19, former NBA players Stephen Marbury compared the 29-year-old stand against the vaccine to Muhammad Ali's decision to become a conscientious objector during the Vietnam War. It was a horrible comparison, but at least Irving didn't say it about himself. The same can't be said for Aaron Rodgers, who invoked another pivotal figure in the civil rights movement while appearing I've already got issues with this article, while appearing at the Pat McAfee show to explain why he misled people about his vaccination status by saying that he was immunized. Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Immunized. And then behaving as if he had actually gotten the COVID vaccine. All right, here's my problem. This shit is slanted. After Kyrie Irving delivered a rambling, look, you asked me a question. I'm not writing a speech, and I'm not a political speaker. So the idea that an average person you want to talk to talks to you, and then you don't take that into account, and now they're rambling. Why would he talk to you ever again? Right? So this is just fucking disrespectful. Excuse my language. This is disrespectful and just like a shot at Kyrie Irving. And I think it's a shot at him because he didn't get vaccinated. A lot of these people, I got it. You bet. If these people could break into your house and inject you, they would. Right? Just like other people's. I mean, the whole thing is a shit show. Am I for back? I said this before. Am I for vaccine mandates? No, right? But if you're not going to protect your neighbor, then yeah, I'm for vaccine mandates, right? You can't if you can't behave, if we can't have nice things, then everybody gets a vaccine mandate. That's essentially what's going on here. Explaining his refusal to get vaccinated, former NBA player Steve Marbury compared the 29-year-old stand against the vaccine to uh, Muhammad Ali's decision to be a conscious objector. Okay, so Steve Marbury came up with this, and your pronouncement is it's a horrible comparison. Says you. Says you, right? I need to hear the rest of this to see how he compared him. Was he calling him the next sacred leader? No. Or was he saying, well, he had to take a stand against a, a, a machine that's sort of indomitable? Then I would say, yeah, yeah, I'm already not liking this guy's writing. We're only a freaking page and a half in. It was a horrible comparison, but at least Irving didn't say it about himself. The same can't be said for Aaron Rodgers, who invoked another pivotal figure in the civil rights movement while appearing on the Pat McAfee show, to explain why he misled people about his vaccine status by saying he was immunized, which is a bullshit word, Aaron Rodgers, and then behaving if he had actually gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. The great MLK said, "Wow, that opens you up." The great MLK said, "You have a moral obligation to object to unjust rules and rules that make no sense." Roger said with a straight face, "One has not uh, one has not only a legal but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. What about my body, my choice?" Really, he also quoted the abortion women. What about my body, my choice? What about making the best decision for my circumstances? This everyone does that. Everyone makes the best decision for their circumstances. This idea is that the pandemic of the unvaccinated is just a total lie. If the vaccine is so great, then how come some people are still getting COVID and spreading COVID? Look, again, he's not a professional speaker, but if he pulled out the exact quote, he looked that shit up and someone told him to look it up, right? This is all self-serving bullshit. Now he's yeah, okay. Now he's all about Dr. King and my body, my choice. Who had Aaron Rodgers comparing himself to Martin Luther King Jr. on 2021 bingo card? Curtis. It sounds like it's if that sounds like some sort of dangerous gibberish one might hear on Joe Rogan podcast, there's a good reason. Rogers, while extolling the virtues of homeopathically protecting himself against COVID-19, which he now has said has been a consulting Rogan for medical advice. Ooh, can't wait to hear what Joe Rogan has said. Uh, I consulted with now good friend of mine, Joe Rogan, after he got COVID, and I've been doing a lot of the stuff he recommended in his podcast. And on the phone to me, Roger said, "I'm going to have the best immunity possible now. I'm thankful for the guys like Joe Rogan for stepping up and using their voice." Aaron Rodgers literally dropped woke mob, cancel culture. I'm not anti-vaxxer, flat earther. I did my own research, sterility and fertility in one sit-down interview. The voice of Rogan and his ilk was rampant in much of what Rogers had to say for himself and his ilk. And his ilk. This thing is so fucking slanted. Um, I don't even know what to tell you. Uh, it implies that only one group of people know, and that is always dangerous. There's always more than one way to do some shit. Uh, but this homeopathy thing is crazy, and especially in the pandemic. Just fucking get vaccinated, please. I realize that I'm in the cross of the woke mob. Wait, the voice of Rogan and his ilk was rampant in much of what Rogers had to say for himself in his self-described diatribe against the witch hunt going across the league. I realize I'm in the cross of the woke mob right now. So before the final nail gets put in my cancel culture casket, I like to see that he's a victim or you poor muffin. I like to see this. I like to set the record straight on some of the blatant lies that are out there about me now. Rogers said in part, "I'm not some sort of anti-vaxxer flat earther. I'm somebody who is a critical thinker. You guys know me. I march to the beat of my own drum. I believe strongly in bodily autonomy." Is that even a thing? Bodily autonomy? Isn't everybody believing that? I mean, but at the same time, you are not a delicate flower unto yourself in the field, right? You are among us, all of us. Bodily autonomy. Look for Rogers and maybe Irving on podcast Rogan next year. The Jordan Love's era can't begin soon enough. Who is this guy? Where's this picture? Where's this picture? There's no picture. Um, this guy, I mean, this is just a sad tale all around, but you were stupid as a stick. 20-year prison sentence. killed two. No, he killed two living souls. Right? He killed a woman, a 23-year-old woman, and her dog. Aaron Rodgers may cost Packers draft picks and cash in addition to wins. Can they take your wins away? I did not know that they could take your wins away. I thought your wins were your wins. Yeah, but that's just, that I mean, the idea of that is absolutely sort of ridiculous. You expose not just a person you're standing around, but then they take it home to people who you may not know in their house, maybe uh, you know, have immunity issues. It's just not right. It's not right. I mean, nobody's saying be a Boy Scout, but come on, man. You have a little more respect for your fellow living soul than that. Have a little more. How about compassion? Even if you totally disagree, right? Let's call it compassion. Well, these people are going to get this thing done. I think they're all idiots, but I'm going to humor them, right? That's sort of compassion versus everything in America is war. We're perpetually warring with each other, at each other. LA County Sheriff called me a vendito, a sellout. Let's talk about selling out. Yeah, everybody sells out. That's how you get there. We just had this conversation about why the Democrat and Republican parties are at war with themselves, right? Once you get there, if I run for Senator, Congressman, dog catcher, right, and there's a body of a party, right, that I belong to, once I get there, they try look like they did with AOC, right? They sort of pulled her in. She's not as wild and reckless as ridiculous, right? She wants to stay there. So she's moderated her behavior to a bad system. It's best to go there and fucking war. But no lies. FBI surveillance video shows Rittenhouse action before he shot three people. See, I tell these people this all the time. There's always a fucking drone overhead spying on you, right? Because the first, uh, like, the first obligation, I guess, is normalcy. Um, and and I think that's the first obligation. Uh, Even as normalcy becomes corruption, right? They still want to stay in power. They want to remain normal. If 90% of the country lost their shit at the political class, the FBI and the army would still be in your face. You know what I mean? Even if they're like, we decided to stop being America and make ourselves China, and now they're our boss, and we all out there, they would like. I don't think anybody would do it, right? But they would uh, enlist the military up against the citizenry. Are we back? I think we're back. Yeah. See, the yeah, we're having drop issues. We shouldn't be having drop issues. Um, excuse me. We shouldn't be having drop issues. We've been streaming for 49 minutes. Uh, I wonder if you could hear me, but I'm happy for you spending some of your time with me. I hope you have coffee. Normally our sessions go about 10:30, 11, but I don't know. This stream is being ridiculous. Remember, like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Truist Armor on YouTube. I'm Karma Armor, Karama, on YouTube. Not on YouTube, on Twitch, and I'm True Armor here on this stream perhaps. Please like and subscribe and join the fun. All right, so all right, I'm just a little sort of set back by like the drop. So yeah, Biden and his Like his press conference yesterday was at 1:30. Yeah, it was a bad choice to pick him. It really was. And that's another thing. I think that the parties play games with who gets elected and who can run and all of that stuff is not the way the country is supposed to work. You know, Dr. Judy is not like there's shit about her show, and I've been saying for 10 years, you always put the worst example of shit on TV. If you watch the first years of Law and Order, that Chris Maloney guy was throwing people up against the wall, smacking people around, and then they sort of stopped it, right? But people learn racism and shit from movies and like I mean TV, they don't want to admit it, but it has a giant influence. This is why, and they believe what we believe what we hear. This is why when countries take over, they secure the TV and radio stations so there can only be one message. They secure their borders so no one can come in, and whoever they want to hang can't get out. Right. So all of these things of like is what happens when you launch a coup. You don't talk about a coup coming for a year like Bill Maher did with the Trump election. You don't talk about it for a year because something will happen to you. Right. There was no coup, just like shitty. And now you're trying to get I mean, the January 6th people was a riot. They all should go to jail. They won't be going to jail. But it wasn't a coup. I mean, like I always say, no one. What is going on with my feed? No one is gonna trust those guys. There's a lot. Look, man, it's like my system is struggling to stay on the internet. It's whose fault is this? Is it the app? Is the app being work quirky and ridiculous, or is it my connection? It could be either one. I can't even hate on either one. It could be either one. I'm watching the bars go from 4 to 1 to 4 to 3 to 4 to 2 to 4. And when it's normally just a green lit at 4 constantly. Um, it is what it is, man. So if we get disconnected, like yesterday, it was about this time when we got disconnected for 10 minutes. And then I came back on and we did an hour and a half show. So I'm trying, look, technology is technology. I'm trying not to hate on it. I mean, come on. I'd rather have the internet than not have the internet. You know what I mean? But it is frustrating. It's like a girlfriend. I'd rather have a girlfriend than not have a girlfriend. But girlfriends are frustrating, and vice versa, right? You can flip that gender around if you want, or if you're a homosexual, you can same sex or gender. The idea that you would rather have something in your life than not have it in your life, but nothing's easy. Things take work. That's the point. I don't want people to come get me. Let's talk about the term woke because I'm sick of these people using it wrong. And every time they use it, I think they take a shot at me and my culture. Woke meaning. I was taught the word woke in the 60s when I was around 1973, right? Alert to injustice in society, especially racism. We need to stay angry and stay woke. What quote is that? Whose fucking quote is that? Uh yeah. Wake up the meaning of woke and see the straw man. How the word woke was co-opted and weaponized. See? Woke racism. John McCordy explains why he's an anti-racist. I don't even know what that means. You're either a racist or see, it's always and these are the tricks that they've been playing on you forever, right? Ways to get you to hate somebody, co-opt the argument, and stay in power. But you know what they all are because it used to be a book that no one knew about. Now all these dirty tricks are on the internet. So you can see it happening. Like, so let me tell you what woke meant. Being woke in the 60s meant don't don't get conned, right? Don't by this unfair society as a black person, right? You know the cops are unfair, right? You know the banks are unfair. Don't you can expect trouble and keep your head on a swivel because the place is unfair and these people are unfair. Now all of a sudden woke means an army of Karens coming to get you because these newspapers who always demonize people have put it in everything and now it means something different like uh what is it, the man who shot Liberty Valance, when the lie becomes the truth, when the legend yeah, essentially when the lie becomes the truth, print the truth, right? Essentially saying print the lie. And that's what's going on here. It's so ridiculous. I stay woke because I mean, you have to make sure that you're not one of these people, right? You have to keep your head on a swivel. Some people are freaking ridiculous. But sometimes it comes at you out of nowhere, like Ahmaud Arbery. He's just out there jogging, and all of a sudden people pull up on him with shotguns. What do you do with that? He died not knowing what the drama was, just knowing that he had to defend himself, and maybe I can fight because that's what we do, right? And get the gun away from him. No, three shotgun blasts, not one, three shotgun blasts in a broad daylight on a quiet suburban street, and then the cops showed up and just let you bleed out. Don't render aid, don't do a fucking thing, right? Sometimes it comes at you out of nowhere. I forget his name, the young man who was walking home with groceries, right? Comes out of nowhere, dead. I don't know, but now woke means anything you can say to get you out of trouble, Aaron Rodgers. You suck. I mean, you're just, it's a dishonesty and a disloyalty to the people in your sphere, not to me. I wasn't on that field, but to be leaning in and breathing on people, right? And now they're going to go home to their wives and kids and babies, right? Saying, yeah, I've been around vaccinated people. It's a sketchy gig, man. All right, so I've got this whole place. Here's the perks and drawbacks of living by yourself. The place should be cleaner. It really should. Um, my kitchen is a hot mess. This week, maybe I'll do one thing a week. I've been saying this for a while. I'm looking at this car that I have. I need to return this car. I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they're not open today. Life maintenance, people. It is a thing. Just put it in the back of your mental file to know that you have to do it, and then hopefully your mental file recall will be just as good as this, which I don't really use as much as I should. Uh, so yeah, that is it. What is the good news for the week? Do we have any good stuff happening? Um, yeah. So black folks stay woke, right? And I think women have a version of that with men, right? Yeah, I'm sure there's things that all women know you don't do, right? Don't get in a car with strangers. Don't hitchhike and get in one of right. Nobody else seeing that kind of horror movie bullshit. I'm sure everybody has something, and in every society, right? I'm pretty sure there's some version of that in China, which looks through your emails and openly, when China breaks open, ugh, it is going to be a thing. It is going to be a thing. A billion people are going to try and live other places. China had a revolution, 20s and 30s, right? Mao came to power in I want to say, was it the 40s or the 50s? I want to say Mao came to power in like the 40s. Um, the Russian Revolution was 1912. It's been about 100 years, right? Everybody has revolutions. Britain had a few. So, yeah, I don't watch a lot. I don't follow a lot of television. So I can't even get at you about TV stuff. We don't talk COVID because YouTube is weird. Um, we take shots at politicians regularly. The Calvin and Hobbes resignation letter is the best I've ever seen, and it's suddenly very relevant. I don't even know what that means. Man, yeah, we are right around the corner from Thanksgiving. When is Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is about 2 weeks away. At 89, a man earned a PhD in physics to fulfill his childhood dream. Yeah, here's the thing. It's for some people, it's hard to do that stuff when you're around because the world is running at you. If you're 60, it's easier to go to college. Not 60, like 80 or whatever. It's easier to go to college, right? 10 years or was that 89, 79? It's easier. And you have more time and you likely have, retirement money to go do it. Doctor on Aaron Rodgers getting COVID advice from Joe Rogan. When is the New York City Marathon? When is the New York City Marathon?
2021 New York City Marathon is today, Sunday, November 7th.
There are two things I love to do. This may be a shorter podcast than usual. I like to watch the marathon, the New York City Marathon specifically. I volunteer a ton for those guys, like 8 years or so. Um, Along with a friend of mine who was a doctor working for the race. Um, and I like to watch the what is it? The bikes. The what is the French bike race? The Tour de France, right? I don't know why. Watching those and like Baja races where you just kind of like kick up dirt and you're straight across the. So the marathon is today. I think it's because I was a the difference between runners and joggers. I don't even know. I would say I was a jogger. I wasn't a runner. Um, Maybe in the back of my head, I always wanted to try it, but I have a odd knee, and I don't want to make it worse by running. So I would run. Here's the thing: I would run every day. I would run 3 miles every day, 3 miles. It's not a lot of miles to put on you. It's enough to keep the weight off, right? And it's enough to get your heart pumping, like every day, 3 miles. Um, I mean, yeah, it's not like oh, you run every day, you're gonna hurt something. No, it's 3 freaking miles. Like if you run, I don't know, you can probably run up between 7 and 10 miles a day and not have an issue. You're a human animal. You were built for running, just like birds are built for flying. I see a lot of people they can't even walk. And I'm like, okay, you're taking yourself out of the fight. That's great. One less adversary to worry about. Because let's be clear, you can't always be the biggest dude in the room. The bigger you are, the more you sort of lumber. But don't get it wrong, there are some big fast dudes. But the idea of you as a human being being able to stride across a landscape was twofold: was to be able to escape stuff coming after you, scurry up trees, scurry over banks, uh, or outrun through how we sweat, like to pursue something that doesn't sweat like we do. But yeah, viral video shows customers fighting bat wielding cookie store owner over mask rule. Why? I mean, there's an arrogance to what people have been told that they are, and I think America is afraid to deal with it because they've been cultivated for political power for so long. But you're gonna have to deal with it, right? What are these? If you gave the Republicans everything they want, what would happen other than civil war? Once they go, if you give them everything and they go, we're going to outlaw the Democratic Party. Yeah, it's on. It's a land of guns. They're going to tell you you have to turn in all your guns, right? We all know what's up. I mean, and it's going to kick off. And this, you know, is why someone said yesterday on the show that they want to de-arm us. I'm like, yeah, I can totally see that being a concern because all governments don't want an armed population so they can do whatever. Like some people don't have guns in their country at all. So yeah, when it gets bad, you don't want a lot of guns out there in the hands of the populace. Um, so yeah, I can totally see why. But the question then becomes, everybody knows you have these inalienable rights, and when you begin to approach them in a way that these paranoids think is, and there's a lot of them that are all white Southerners, right? Think that something not just overreaching, but something else is going on, like a king or emperor of America or something. I think people are going to get activated, and they're not all. working in Walmart who own an AR-15, right? A lot of people are military people who are retired and were like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, when it gets that bad, people will begin to perk up and go, this is wrong. And then you will see the sides drawn. We are lucky it hasn't been that, right? As Americans, we are lucky it hasn't been that. It's always this low grade animus, tit for tat, not even tit for tat. Like people are uh, like low grade strikeouts from some groups in this community, right? So Eric Rudolph was blowing up abortion clinics in the 80s, right? And killed a couple of people. Abortion because he didn't like um Dylan Ruth walked into a black church, shot up people, right? I mean, it's always uh like bubbling and percolating. Um and now you're getting to the point where people who used to march for are just kind of like I said this on a dozen times if I said it once. There are more and more black organizations that carry guns down here. Like 10 years ago, I didn't know any. Now we have three in Virginia. And there's even an armed wing of the new Black Panther Party down here. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So now you see peaceful protests and people show up with AR-15. You're like, oh. And on this side, it's the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys with guns. And on that side, it's the Black Panther Party. And there's another one called the Black Guardians or some stuff. Um, yeah, I looked into it. I'm like, all right, if you, I join your militia, I absolutely would. How serious are you, right? If you got, if you're one of those guys who'll take anybody who'll show up, I don't want to be a part of it, right? If you have to bust your ass to be a part of it, I'll do that, and maybe I won't make the cut. But to have that person next to me who's just lazy with a gun, who will drop it or let loose around in your secure converted candy store, I'm not even for that shit. Um, and people are goofy and stupid and can't follow the rules. So yeah, it's crazy. Aaron Rodgers goes full anti-vax as he's taking ivermectin. Here's the thing. We're not going to talk about ivermectin. Ooh, Macho, the dog with the world's longest tongue, has died. Oh, I'm a dog person. I love dogs. I do. I love all of them. The little ones, the big ones. I love dogs. I like cats. I love cats. I like cats. I'll hold the cat and play with the rubber's belly and get it purring. Yeah, I really do enjoy cat energy. I like cats, but I love dogs because I love being outside. You can't go outside with your cat and go, let's go. We're going to the park. You can do that with your dog. Um, and your dog will bite somebody for you if you're being aggressed. Aesthetic YouTubers are turning entire vlogs into ads. Ads for what? Maybe I should turn this into an ad. Members of security appear to be injected. Houston police chief. Member of security appears to be. All right, see, we went through that yesterday too. Where was his partner? How come no one has cameras? Nobody works alone in security in a giant room full of people. I had to work security before I became a policeman, and we always had a team, right? Small sections, you could be on this side of the room, he could be on that side of the room, right? Something happened, everybody goes to the thing. This is a concert. So you're not working by yourself. He should have at least been working with six other guys or at least five other guys, right? Somebody to watch your back. He's out there by himself. He rolls over all by himself and then gets injected from behind. I don't buy that. That implies in a crowded place, everybody looking at. I'm telling you, man, I love calling this shit. Cause give it 3 weeks before they're saying that there was something funny with this story. Uh, Everybody standing around. It supposes that all those people standing around the security guard who just got injected are, excuse my language, pieces of shit, right? They're not gonna help him. Oh, let me close this. They're not gonna help him. No one's reported what the guy looked like. He was wearing this. He was that. He was a tall black guy. He was a tall white guy. He was a redhead. He was a Latino. He was a short. They've got no description on him. It was a giant concert. You see what I'm saying? So either the scenario was he went to break up something, um, in a space where there was only the two conflicting parties, and then a third party to inject them, and all those three people were together, Or like it happened in a giant space full of thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? People chase down people all the time. Kyle Rittenhouse is on trial for killing two people who tried to chase him down. This whole story doesn't wash with me. Where was your backup? Is the first question. Where were all the people and witnesses? If we all see something, people can't wait to fucking call the cops on you. Oh my God, I saw that guy do this, right? On TV going, man, yeah, the concert was crazy. People got crushed, and yeah, I saw that guy who got injected. Well, what did the guy look like? Well, the guy who injected him looked like XYZ. What was the case before that? Oh, well, what brought him over was this thing happened. Now they don't know anything, but they have a guy that they had to give not ivermectin. They had to give what's that stuff that brings you down from meth? Maybe this security guard worked there and got high there, and then you found him and somebody tried to cover his ass with this story. Maybe that's it, or maybe that's not it. But the whole story, unless more shit is filled in, this whole story is fucking weird. Excuse my language. Uh, just running around, you have a syringe ready for any random person. Just run up and inject them in the neck. How long does this shit take effect? If someone, I mean, do you grab somebody? I mean, I don't. This whole thing is squirrely AF to me. It really is. Uh, let's see if we can look. Do we even want to? Because we looked into it yesterday, and there wasn't really a lot. Sorry about that. I'm trying to stay in frame here. We looked into it yesterday, and there wasn't really a lot on call for it. Right? They didn't know a lot, and then they confirmed it, but then they didn't tell you how it happened. And that's the modern fucking media. Just take our word for it. Fuck your word for it. Give me the story. What happened? That story doesn't sound right. Go back and update it or something. Because how do you? Yeah, and why was he alone? That's the first question. Like when we went through the Alec Baldwin shooting, right? And the first day, we were like, why is there a live round? I mean, I get everybody's concentrating on fake guns. The question is why are there live rounds on set? That's the question. I get fake guns. I get blanks. Yeah. Why they're live rounds? Do not shut me down again. Come on. It's like the stream is beginning to be difficult again. Okay, we're back. Oh boy. It's frustrating. It's frustrating with this. Oh wow, look. Well, we looks like we are very well getting our hour and a half in. Everything else is gravy. But normally, like I said, we go to 10:30, 11, right? Sometimes 12. Mike is in the way though. The camera. Chickadee, chickadee, check. Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. All right, so yeah, that bullet on set didn't make any sense. In a land of make believe, why do you have real bullets near real guns in a land of make believe? And I think my whole position is that the armorer, the 24-year-old armorer, had better hope the justice system works as designed, which means young white ladies don't go to prison from affluent families, right? They don't go to jail. But if it works as punishable by what you did, I don't see how she's not the person. They try to put on the coach. And then somebody said there was a vendetta. That means it's murder. You just gave a public testimony that someone essentially murdered someone on that set as a vendetta. Prove that. I can see stupid and lazy, and it's exactly what I said it was before it came out in the paper. Remember that? I'm like, this is New Mexico. Trust me. When Hollywood deals go to like New York, they don't take everybody from California and bring them to New York. Only the primaries, right? The writer, the director, the principal actors, named above the marquee, right? That's it. Otherwise, you hire New York actors there. You hire New York caterers there. You hire New York gunmen, gunsmiths there. If you do it in Florida, you hire gunsmiths from Florida, actresses from Florida, caterers and designers from Florida, unless they're super specific to bring in, right? This is New Mexico. You're shooting a Western. This is New Mexico. You're shooting a Western. You hired their gunsmith who lived there, right? And I bet some days they take the guns out, they drink beers. They call it plinking. We looked it up. And they put it on the fence and they shoot guns and they'll barbecue something. They'll talk with their friends. They have a beer. They talk about the game. And then Monday rolls around. They put everything back into the boxes and take it back to work. And I was like, somebody left a live round in this gun because of something like that. Right. But my whole thing was it wasn't one live round and then all blanks. Because then I'm like, that too is weird as fuck. It has to be a fully loaded gun of to say what I'm saying. Otherwise, it sounds like somebody put an actual live round there, right? And that's a totally different animal. Why would you do that, right? And then it finds out that there weren't just like a box of ammo, 50 bullets. There was a case. There was 100 bullets. So this tells me, and a Glock, right? So what's a Glock for in your Western, right? You see what I'm saying? People, I mean, there's America's gun culture. People are gun nuts, right? They work all over the place. Somebody got lazy. Somebody got lazy. And like that woman's last words of, oh, this is not good. That is tragic. Oh, this is not good. This is really not good. That's what they said her last word were. I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, you go to work expecting to come home and see a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and through just like a wild occurrence of events that you're just like, wow. Yeah, isn't it though? Hello, Helen Wallace. It's good to see you. Uh, it's just wild. It's the saddest thing. It really is. And I think I don't, and like I said, that guy who said it was like there was drama on the set and he think they sabotaged it. That's just throwing smoke up in the. Unless you can prove that, shut up and get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? What it looks to be like, and like I said, they were playing with the guns when they weren't using them, and then somebody forgot to unload it. And there, we still haven't heard about the 3 guys who were on the call sheet that day, who the cops didn't get to talk to because they left. Who leaves a murder scene unless they did it, right? So, and then someone told me, well, they could have took bullets and stuff. So that makes sense to me too. Trying to get some of the stuff, like you don't take the weapon, but you might take the rest of the bullets out of the gun, right? Because it was nothing but live rounds. So this whole thing is just a fustercluck. It's exactly what this whole thing is. Um, yeah, I mean, what it looks to be, we'll go over it for you again. What it looks to be is this was in New Mexico. Um, People in New Mexico have gun culture. So I think like since they're real guns, they're usable. You fire them off on the weekends, you talk crap with your boys, and then you have a couple of beers, and then Monday you throw them back all back in the box and you take them back to work. And no one cleaned them or checked them or did anything and left a live round in it. And now we're showing that that's what they've always been doing, right? Well, yeah. I think the biggest story is COVID, right? And this the way things move, people don't stay on it very long. It'll bubble back up when something happens, but generally, I mean, it's a story for about 5 days, unless you're going to arrest somebody immediately, and they haven't. And then you'll hear something down the line of breaking news: so and so just arrested so and so for the shooting, right? And they're released on bond, and then you'll give it another year, a year and a half, and then like, oh, jury for that trial is going to get picked, and the trial starts in October, and it's expected to last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 days, 5 minutes, 12 hours, whatever the case may be. And then they'll tell you what the charge is, and then you'll never see that person again. That seems to be the way that it works. Um, but all the while, people will be throwing smoke up in the air, sand and trying to obscure who's at fault. Alex Baldwin doesn't want it to be him. He wants you to see him as a victim of this as well and not culpable. The assistant director who handed Alex Baldwin the gun, who called cold gun, meaning it was blanks or empty or something like that. The gun is not dangerous. He doesn't want it to be him because his position is, I expected someone else, a gunsmith, to clear all these weapons, right? So, and the 24-year-old armor, who's her second job, She don't want it to be her, right? But I don't even know what her explanation is, because even if someone took those guns off set and shot up the place or did whatever, even if they were blanks and then she went and took a pee and came back, she's supposed to check the gun again. You don't check it one every time you are around that gun. You check it every time you put it down. So if this is a gun, you check, you open, make sure it's empty. You put it down. You go over here, go ahead, cool. You look around, you pick that fucking gun up, and make sure that it's empty again. It's gun discipline, right? I mean, even if you check this gun and someone did sneak in and stick a live round in it, there should be cameras all over that movie set, other than the ones shooting all the actors, right? In a surveillance world, why don't any of these people have cameras? Yeah. So now it's sad, and I'm pretty sure everybody has been told not to say anything by their lawyers while they work behind the scenes. And I'm also sure that if they did start squawking up, going like that guy was talking about murder, uh, and everybody started talking back and begin to try it in the court of public opinion, the judge who's handling it would just slap a gag order on it, and then nobody can talk about it at all. So I don't like the idea of gag orders. You should be able to. I mean, in America, it's your. You should be able to talk. They should be able to disprove you, right? Just versus making it impossible for you to talk. And the evidence is supposed to stand for itself, but the evidence never does. Well, not I can't say never does, but the evidence is just sometimes easily manipulated. Yep, I'm supposed to go running, but I'm not going running. It is a freaking windy day here. It's kind of awesome. Do I want to light some sage and be all hippie at 9 in the morning here? Yep, I think I do. All right, so I hope, yeah, well, you know what? Let me do this. So ashes to ashes. So I think Alec Baldwin is going to be all right. I don't see how they're going to charge Alec Baldwin. I really don't see how they're going to charge the director for anything serious. But the last time I remember something happened, it wasn't a gun, but it was a woman. We talked about this. A woman on the train trestle. They were shooting a scene on a train trestle, a dream sequence on and the train came through. You know how hard it is to run on train slats? You can't get a stride going. You have to sort of, you know what I mean? And yeah, they were hit by a train. Um, no, wait, hold on. There was a bed on the platform, and the train hit the bed and shattered it into like a zillion pieces. And the shrapnel killed their camera person, their director of photography, just like this one. But and people were like, "Why were you on a train?" And the people who runs the train and the line on the train were like, they didn't have permission to be on. They had asked it, they were turned down, and they did it anyway. Figuring out, you know, no one's ever on the tracks anyway. We can probably get like, you know, 2 hours of shooting done, and no one will never know. Dead woman. Explain yourself. They sent people to jail. Right. I mean, sometimes weird shit happens to people who are trying to do the right thing. Remember that fire? I was gonna say the Happy Lands, not the Happy Lands. Happy Lands was a fire in New York when I was a kid. That killed 99 people. But there was a fire in um uh like metal club. Someone shot off like fire things and it caught the whole place on fire and like 100 people died. The guy who owned it was their local anchorman and his brother who was a local businessman. And they both like was arrested for criminally negligent homicide, 100 counts of it. And I was like, wow. And they ended up going to jail doing like 7 years. And there's a after. I mean, this was like it might have been a little more than seven, but this fire was like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, maybe 20. And because they've been out for a while, and they finally sat down for an interview, and they look. I mean, those dudes looked heartbroken about it, right? It's not. It's not like you want this to happen. You're not out here hustling. You just. But sometimes you're just you're just connected to swept up in something. What was the name of that music? Fire. It was in Connecticut. New Haven alarm. How crowd surging killed people. Yeah. Concert. What was the name of the band? It was a really famous band. Kills. This is news. It wouldn't be news. Death 104 in the hospital. There was a fire. The Station nightclub fire. The Station nightclub fire killed 100 people. The weird thing in this modern era, there's video of people jammed in the front door trying to get out. Right? That's the thing about the modern era, right? You would hear about a fire in Greece circa 12 BC. There's no video, no one drew a picture of it, right? Then a couple hundred years later, you hear about a fire, the Great London Fire. There's no pictures of it, or people painted, right? So now you have painting, and now you hear fires, and there's video of it because everyone's got a cell phone. Who lives next door will take it, and that'll end up on your TV set, and and that'll be before the press arrived with their cameras. Excuse me, which resulted in 492 deaths. Yeah, they shot off pyrotechnics in a tiny rock and roll club in a place that should have held 200 people. You had double the capacity, and that's why I think they went to jail. Sentenced and safe on May 10th, 2006. Okay, so it was like 15 years ago. State prosecutor Randall White asked that Bichelle be sentenced to 10 years in prison, the maximum allowed under the plea bargain, citing the massive loss of life and the fire that needs to send a message speaking to. Yeah, they didn't have like exit doors. I mean, some of the stuff that was hang up was just deaden the sound from so the neighbors wouldn't complain. Was fireproof, not fireproof, wasn't fireproof. So it fed the and it was toxic when it burned. I mean, yeah. Speaking to the public for the first time since the fire, Betcha appeared remorseful during his sentencing, stroking back tears. He made a statement to the court and to the families of the victims. Yeah. For 3 years, I wanted to be able to speak to the people that were affected by this tragedy, but I know that there's nothing that I can say or do that will undo what's happened that night. Since the fire, I have been wanting to tell the victims and their families how truly sorry I am for what happened that night, and that the part that I had in it. I never wanted anyone to be hurt in any way. I never imagined that anyone would be. I know how this is tragic. This tragedy has devastated me, but I can only begin to understand what the people who lost loved ones have endured. I don't know that I'll ever forgive myself for what happened that night. So I can't expect anybody else to. I can only pray. Wow. I can only pray that they understand that I would do anything to undo what happened that night and give them back their loved ones. I'm sorry for all. I'm sorry for what I've done, and I don't know what. What? Hold it. Wait. I'm sorry for what I've done, and I don't want to cause anyone any more pain. I will never forget that night. I will never forget the people that were hurt by it. I'm sorry. See, that reads so sincerely versus go and read Alec Baldwin's statement. Like I said, he was a news anchor in the town, right? He's just trying to be, yeah, isn't it though? It's so, even his statement at sentencing, Superior, ooh, Superior Court Judge Francis J. Dargan sentenced Special to 15 years in prison, with 4 to serve and 11 years suspended, plus 3 years probation for his role in fire. Darrigan remarked, "The greatest sentence that can be imposed on you has been imposed on you by yourself." Wow. Under this sentence, with good behavior, Bessie would be eligible for parole in 2007, uh, which was 12 years ago. How's my math? 14 years ago. Judge Darrigan deemed Bechtel highly unlikely to reoffend. I super agree with that, which was among the mitigating factors that led to his decision. Like he was a guy trying to do well in the community, right? He was on TV. He had, you know, started a business, and then this whole thing happened. So it wasn't like he was just some shifty business dude or whatever. And it was him and his brother running the business, right? So it's not like um the person he was in league with had a dark history. It's just a really tragic tale of like support for parole in the aftermath. Yeah, and all the victims' family were like, they didn't think he should have. The victim's family supported the guy, but man, yeah, that fire was ridiculous. So we're not gonna go, but man, that statement is crazy. I mean, it really is heartbreaking. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. It's like, oh well, I guess we could have got the fire, but we're never gonna have a fire. You know what I mean? So we'll say $50 per slab, and then we put that into like drinks or new lighting or whatever. And then somebody comes in with their stage kit, like it's an amphitheater, and you blow fire into the place. And before you know it, you know, there's a crush at the door and no one can get out. 495 people. Whoa. So yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, outrageous. So wow. Okay, so it looks like the stream is holding up. Um, what else do we have to discuss? Since I don't do movies. Oh yeah, I saw this. I don't know who this woman is. Marilia, Marilia, Marilia Merdonca plane crash. It's very much like Ashanti, right? Not was it Ashanti? Yeah, died in a plane crash, overloaded plane. I hate propeller driven planes. I just can't tolerate propeller driven planes. One, I don't like to fly, but man, taking a small hopper when I went to Australia, there was like a 16-seat plane that we had to take, and I was just, it was it was the worst. I could not stop my yeah. I don't know. I'm sure they're super safe, right? I mean, there's a ton of them in the air right now, flying all over the place. But you get into your head. I have family members who don't like to drive over bridges over water, right? We all have something. We all have something. As a kid, I used to be terribly afraid of the dark. N- Uh, and I guess that's a thing everyone has when you grow out of it. And I had stage fright for a very long time. I could talk to anybody, but I couldn't talk on stage. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't deal with claustrophobia. Like there was a movie where the guy was like trapped. Was he trapped in a box or some? It was. I just I couldn't. I was like, oh, the idea of it is just is just amazing to me. And there's people who go spelunking. You see them in caves and they're crawling through. Like there's a famous one on PBS. They found like this pit with all these animal bones in it, and they sussed that like 100,000 years ago. An animal because they found people bones in it. First they thought it was like a cave where people lived, and there was uh like charred bones, I guess. And what they realized was first there was an animal living there and it would take the people, right? And eat them because, stuff ate people. And they don't know how long that existed. And then, like maybe 10,000 years later, another group of humans found the cave and set up shop there. And so they found, so they thought people were eating human beings because they found human bones with like jaw marks on them. And then they were like the teeth marks are too big, and this is sort of two like overlapping places in this space. Really is just like you know amazing. All right, are we having more stream issues? All right, we're trying to keep the stream live. Again, I don't know if it's the app or if it's my setup. I don't think it's my setup. I think it's the app. Right? It's not my fault. uh, Colin Powell's son says goodbye to his father. Okay. New York governor's race, man, that's going to be something. Thank you. Whew, thank you. Because sometimes the picture goes, and so What time is it? Where you're at? Any world news you want to talk about? I have a lot of questions about Greta Thornberg. Actually, maybe you can tell me if I'm correct or if I'm looking at this wrong. Oh, it's in the afternoon. Okay, good. It's 9 here, so that's 5 hours. Okay. Um. So Greta Thornberg, like I like like what she stands for, but my thing is the media made her like Shirley Temple, and I'm just kind of like, and she's showing up like the UN. Like no one elected her. We need the people who are elected to actually do the thing, right? I get you sounded the alarm, but now you're becoming like I don't want to say a political pawn, but like the face of. And once you become the face of, and you become less of a what's the, how can I phrase this? You become less of like I can't even say leading the charge. She's a kid, right? I mean, the people who are doing this should be the people who can actually go to the UN and make the law and then go home and write laws. I mean, I appreciate her, but I think they've blown her out of proportion. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're not going to do anything. Right. And so I'm at this point, I'm just thinking that she's like a usable pawn, right? It's like 15 years ago or 10 years ago for Afghanistan, it was that Melissa Yousaf girl, right? And shot in the head, took her to out of the country, made her the face of womendom in Afghanistan, gave her a Nobel Peace Prize. Uh, she spoke at the UN and all this stuff. But meanwhile, look at how Afghanistan turned out. I just keep seeing them run these same games on us, and I'm like, this well-meaning girl is now surrounded by, hey, I'm a climate lawyer. We can get you in the New York, not the New York Times, the Time magazine cover, and And her parents are like, oh yeah, but before you know it, I'm sure there are background deals, like not like she's going to be endorsing like sneakers or anything, but yeah, I think now at this point she's a famous person who's can make money doing this, or at least set her future up in like 10 years to be the youngest person to run for this, that, or the other thing in the place that she's from. But yeah, it's hard to tell a 12-year-old girl to shut up and go away, right? And you're a politician and she's saying mean things to you. What do you do with that? Right? Well, Greta Thornberg said, wait, I'll stop it. Why are you telling me what a 12-year-old girl said? And then all of a sudden she's on Twitter going, you boob is destroying the bird. And you're like, can I say shut up to her? And your advisor's like, no, sir, it's best just to let it go. Yeah, you'll make her a martyr. You're absolutely right. But I think the problem, instead of concentrating on her, is, but the people in charge are, in league with the people in charge in the media, rather. So they're not going to hold any tough questions. So any of them, Nancy, here it's Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the establishment people, Barack Obama, right? And I think it's the same in other places. And some places like Saudi Arabia have, yeah, you're absolutely not going to say anything outside of bounds. There's been a lot of backlash here because the leaders are here to discuss climate change. There's a 32 gas guzzling car entourage driving back and forth from Edinburgh to Glasgow daily. Yeah, but see, yeah, yeah, I get that. I understand that though, right? The world leader, I get she look. If everyone stopped flying, I wouldn't expect the world leaders to stop flying, right? If if everyone cut down, but the world leaders didn't, the place would be better. I don't expect them to drive around in electric cars. I think that safety is sort of the thing there, right? Right, right. So, I mean, like, because the American uh, presidential caravan is ridiculously large. The British royalty caravan is pretty ridiculously large. I think I saw the Chinese guy, Deng Xiaoping's entourage is large, right? But others are just like, a car and a driver, a bulletproof car, like a driver, and because they don't have such animus in their community. So I think telling one of those guys, "Oh, it's going to be in Edinburgh. Don't worry, we'll take a something small and slick." you would have to secure like blocks and blocks of the place just so he could walk around, outside of the car. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. He does not need 32 giant like SUVs uh rocketing through these tiny streets of bucolic, you know, European lanes, right? You don't really need it. It's more built for, but here's the thing. If the hosting country was in charge of security and God forbid an assassination happened, you know what I mean? So this way you're responsible for your own people. We'll ask you, because I've actually part of this detail once, we'll ask you to monitor the streets and make sure traffic is good. But after that, I was told if all hell breaks loose in there, don't go in there, right? Stay where you are, secure, because if you are, they will assume that you're the bad guy. They all know each other. And even if though you're a policeman, they don't know you. You could be a bad guy dressed as, so stay out of it. Okay, that's the level they play at. They all know each other. All right. Um, it's not just POTUS. There are lots of them commuting back and forth. Right. But but why not say in Glasgow where the actual event is happening? That's a good question too. Why did they put him in a place where there's nothing but space? Is that what happened? Because they could have, like you said, they could have stayed in a nice uh Edinburgh hotel and not driven wait, where are they're yeah, Edinburgh, not Glasgow, right? They could have stayed in Edinburgh and not gone anywhere. Or they could have had it in the country at a giant estate. That's interesting. Where is this thing happening? Magic of Google. No, carbon monoxide, good lord. What is it called? Is it the climate? What am I gonna look search for? Climate change. Let's just write climate change in Glasgow. Change in climate change meeting. Good lord, come on, man. Climate change meeting in Glasgow. 2021. Members of the parliament from around the world gathered as COP26 to ramp up pressure on world leaders. Hashtag act now. Leaders from Botswana have gathered outside some of the official venues to voice concerns about drilling in Okavango Delta. Spending the day at the parliamentary hashtag COP26 meeting at Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. Oh, they're going to art galleries and they're seeing the finery of Glasgow, right? And it sort of makes sense that way. The people of Glasgow, the leadership there, the mayor, the is it prime minister or president? I don't know. Can go can show you the greatness of the city, and then you can take some pictures and images back and go, oh, we went to sunny, beautiful Glasgow, right? And then they can go, hey, we had all these world leaders from all over the place in sunny, beautiful Glasgow. Maybe you might want to come down and visit, or you know what I mean. It shows the beauty of your it shows the beauty of your city. So I get it. I remember when Obama went to see the pyramids, right? It's like one of those things. He went to Egypt to have a talk, but then he ended up taking photos at the pyramid. It's just not a good look. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree. Um, but yeah, the rich get richer and stupider apparently. Images. Do we have any image? Yeah. Huh. Is this how come this is weird? This has not been on the news here. Let's bring this up. This has not been on the news here. Um, the Cold and Colorful Climate Conference. You're gonna stop it global warming by 1 degree? I don't really know. Net zero is not zero. That's pretty good. Climate ambition. The Climate Ambition Summit. That's 2020. Every year they have one of these and nothing gets done. Who are these guys? Joe Biden convenes world leaders to discuss climate change ahead of G8. Ugh, Joe Biden is tiresome. I'm tired of Joe Biden. I hate to be the one to say it. And we're only freaking 10 months, 11 months in. It's going to be a long 2.5 years. Uh, I hate to say it, but I think the world needs to get on board with actually doing something about this before it's too late. And I think it might be too late. Edinburgh is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, but it's not being hosted here. Our Prime Minister Boris Johnson is a massive bellend, to be honest. What is the bellend? Why is Greta Thornberg? Yeah, she's a distraction, right? And I think she also makes you think that, not you personally, but like the average citizen who isn't elected something, thinks that, oh, I will keep being activist because people listen, and maybe versus just her talking to the news people. I don't even know why she's famous. And she also sailed across the world by herself. I was like, isn't this dangerous for children? Mm, an asshole. Bellend literally means the tip of the penis. Bellend and R. I love how we spell ass with two S's and you spell it with an R and an S and an E. Bellend, the literally means the tip of the penis. All right. So yeah, I guess he's the tip. I mean, look, the Western countries, all of Western Europe, right? The West, America, I would consider is West. Britain, right? I would consider is West. Australia, I would consider is West, even though it's in the South Pacific, right? The deep South Pacific. These philosophies, we can't even get us on board, and now we're trying to get what we used to call the Far East or the Orient, or which is just now China, as it gobbles up everything. China and Russia are in the same neighborhood. Um, Neither one of them are going to get on board. So how you gonna limit this? And I've read something where China, if China hadn't had could lower its thing, we'd all have already been under like the global cap for what they're talking about because China just produces greenhouse gases like nobody's business. China's okay, Lord, China's greenhouse emissions. So they're not going to stop. The estimated China's emission is 13. China misrepresent greenhouse gas curbs addiction to coal. So they're lying, right? So everyone else is trying to keep us and the planet alive, and China's like, I don't give a fuck. U.S. versus China, how the world's two biggest emitters stack up. Um, yeah, we do a lot of oil here too. So, but yeah, here's the thing: you don't have to lie by it in America because the American oil companies write their own laws and don't really give a fuck about what you say, right? So it's not illegal because they've made it legal. And I think a lot of the world follows, the Western world follows kind of what America does, right? Um, and now you're saying that it was wrong to do so. China issues plan to hit carbon emissions peak by 2030, 9 years. All right. India targets 2070, right? India's big on coal. So is we're not as big on coal, but here we go with the stream. We're not as big as on coal, but Australia is huge on coal, and they're in the West. So trying to get them just give up coal, like that's a massive hit to their system. They will have to begin almost immediately with wind farms, and they don't have dams because the place is always in a drought. But what you can't replace that overnight, right? The ship of state turns slowly, so you slowly have to move everything into like a non coal sort of system. And Germany gets all its oil and energy from China, not China, from Russia. And so they've got to watch how they walk. on this conversation since it's a pipeline coming from Russia into Germany, right? I mean, yeah, the whole everybody's interactions here is you have to keep in mind how people are relating to each other because they're just acting like oh, all these people just want to they all want it and then they go there and then nothing can get done because they don't all want it and some of them don't want it seriously, right? They'd rather instead of let's say having it next week, right, they'd rather kick the ball down the road for 50 years. Not everybody can fund this either. Yeah, they don't really have a windy climate either. Hydropower would be better in Australia. Off the coast. Yeah, but it's a big country. It's as big as America, right? So you can't ooh, so you can't run put on screen. So you can't can you man, that's gonna be a thing. Can you run wind power across a continent like an oil pipeline? Can you do that? Yeah, yeah, it'll be the next generation's problem. Uh and plus they don't have that many people. I mean, it might be a good try to test it on their population, right? The government funding this, but the government, America has so much money because America has a giant population that pays taxes into it. I think Australia only has 30 million people, right? We looked this up before. America's the third largest population after China and India. How many Australians are there? 25 million, right? So there's only 25 millions of them. I think there's 60 million. There's half as many Australians as English people. I think there's like 70 million Brits, but there's 300 million of us and Brits. How many Brits are 72? No, I was right. 72 million. So are there. So I mean, when you need money to fund this new thing, how you going to get it? Go to the World Bank and borrow loans. The whole world is in debt. And I always wonder, you know what? This is just going to be the way it is because no one's going to go to war for this money, right? The next global war, it's just, quite frankly, it does not need to be fought. We just need to get rid of the people who aren't doing the job. We don't need those people who aren't doing the job to send us all to war to kill off other people's women and children. What kind of bullshit is that? Um, yeah, I've seen how small the UK is in comparison to Australia in terms of landmass. We're very overpopulated. Most of us live in flats, not houses. Really? I thought there were giant estates in well, I guess the estates will only be for the queen, right? Yeah. That's I mean, but man, here's the thing. You can only do that for so long, right? And before you know it, you'll be in like one of those dystopian movies where like oh, like Blade Runner where the cities were just like New York is like that, right? Um yeah, what do they say? They're not making land anymore. Blade Runner. Yeah. They're not making land anymore. So, well, that's not true. Volcanoes are going up all over the place, so it's obviously still making land. I don't remember the soundtrack. I would love to play something, but yeah, we took a like I said, we took a hit on not Thanksgiving, on Halloween. But oh yeah, he the Chariots of Fire. Vangelis did the soundtrack to. Wow, wow, I did not know that. Vangelis did the soundtrack to Blade Runner. Vangelis. Born March 20, 1943, 78 years old, Agria, Greece. Evangelos Odysseus Papanthanassiou, known professionally as Vangelis, is a Greek musician and composer of electric, progressive, ambient, jazz, and orchestral music. Yeah, got nothing but love for you, baby. Yeah, that Chariots of Fire theme. It's beautiful, right? It starts off in the plates and then it gets all fat and thick. Uh, gotta like it. Um, yeah, Vangelis. Wow. Um, hey, do you want to come up? You're more than welcome to. Let's if you'd like to. Um, Yeah, that is amazing to me. So this, yeah, this society needs to. I think the American society needs to hold its political people finally to account because they've just been writing laws for themselves. uh, excuse me. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. You're welcome uh to come up at any time. I totally get it. I just realized I was doing a lot of talking and I should invite more people. I think I'm going to try. Normally, like I was saying earlier, normally it's just me, but I had people up on for the first time on Halloween. Was it Halloween? The day after Halloween this week. It was in the last 4 days, and I totally felt good about it. All right, so I guess we've been streaming for an hour and 56 minutes. Ooh, I guess we will leave it here because, like you said, you've got stuff to do. And now I'm sitting here going, "Ah, ah, I should really actually get on finishing this room and getting on my thing. I want to thank everyone for coming through. I want to thank you, uh, Leggy Lady rather, for coming through, Helen. Um, we're here every day, Sunday for the Sunday session, 6 6:30, 7:30. And we there's daylight saving times here in the West too, right? Uh, it's so good chatting to you. So today's daylight saving times, people. You might want to fix your watches, your digital paraphernalia sets itself up, but your house may need uh, may need you to do it personally. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, 6:30 p.m. And we're here Sundays at 7:30 a.m. for as long as we want to be. And this one we're gonna put in the books. I think I need something to eat. I'm starving. Uh, Yeah, thanks for coming through. We're here every day. We stream every single day. Same bat time, same bat channel, except for Sundays, like I just said, where there's always a Sunday session, which cleans your soul for 2 weeks. I've got it on good authority. If you spend 5 minutes here, your soul is good for 2 weeks. It's not forever, it's just for 2 weeks. So come back and get a refill. I want to thank everyone for coming through. We had some stream issues, but they managed to work themselves out. And I think we get the end of the on a semi-strong note. Let's be arrogant and say a strong note. How about that? So we want to thank all of you, and hopefully we'll see you all again. Thanks for coming through. Uh, Helen, you're awesome. It was awesome chatting with you. Uh, and we learned some things about Scotland and like the COP 21 summit, which is, this is what we want. We want good information, and we got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your Saturday. Your Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday as it goes into Monday. And if you're already in a Monday in the rest of the world, knock that Monday out. Let it know who's boss. We will see you in the next one, and the next one is tomorrow at 6:30 in the PM. Come on through. All right, everyone. Have a good evening. Have a good evening. Have a good morning, and we will see you next time.